So last night, Marcus Smart played his first game in a month. Then he was a little bit rusty. Smart went just 1 for 7. Giannis was asked about Smart's night after the game. Say what?
Marcus Smart's returned to the game tonight. So did he make any impact on the game tonight?
I'm so glad he's not from the U.S. His reactions are just totally natural. They're not the right company way and everything.
That is funny.
And he's not a mean guy.
No.
So he clearly, that wasn't shade. I think he was looking like, well, let me see if there's anything I can say. He sees one of seven.
No, that's right. Because normally we have LeBron photographic memory of all the plays and everything. LeBron would have had every shot that he missed. This was great. Oh.
So good. Really good.
So
really
good.
funny. And natural with the state of funny.
Tough night for Marcus Smart coming back.
Time for stories to start your morning. James Harden dropping 38 points last night in a Game 4 win over the Warriors. This series now tied at 2 games apiece. Nick, how impressive was Harden last night?
Man, Harden had a switch flipped in this series the moment he got his eyes raked. Prior to getting his eyes raked, he's shooting under 30%. He's playing really inefficiently. Since then, he's above his season averages in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, right at his season average in points per game. He was great last night, and he was the biggest reason why they built that 17-point lead that they then almost squandered at the end.
Yeah, he was the best player on the court for 3.5 quarters. But late in the game, that mid-range jumper right there, not settling for the 3-point shot, which he wasn't good at late, and getting those, man, they needed every bucket that they could get. His overall ball handling, like in the lane, you can just see how well, man, he has adapted his game for this opportunity. Typically, didn't have the conditioning to be able to hold the team on his back. Now we see James Harden at his absolute best, and I believe last night was his best playoff game.
All right, moving on. Bucks Celtics. Giannis had 39 points in a Game 4 win over the Celtics. Bucks take a 3-1 commanding series lead heading back to Milwaukee. See how good was Giannis in this?
Oh, he was special, and that was the distraction of getting that 4th foul. It didn't how do you have 4 fouls? Like, man, the ticky-tack one here, got 2 in a hurry, back-to-back, and then next thing you know, he's got to be able to go to the bench. But in that 4th, where this game could have gone in, the Celtics could have made a charge back. Giannis showed why he's one of the best players, why he had an MVP-type season. He took over, and I think that you're talking about Vince in that moment. Giannis was the one that drove the stake through their heart there late.
Absolutely. Giannis made it very clear to the Celtics, your team is not as good as ours. Your best player is not nearly as good as ours. And the Celtics, I don't want to say they quit, but their effort waned at the end. Giannis becomes, you'll love this one, C, just the 3rd player in playoff history to have at least 35 and 15 in less than 35 minutes. The other 2, Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon. That level of dominance in those few minutes, you never see it. He was so good, Les.
Oh, so 1 of 3, right?
He's 1 of 3 to do that in NBA history.
All right, I'm trying to add that.
There you go, no problem.
Yeah.
Moving on.
First time ever done it.
1 of 1 is how I would say that.
Reports are Ty Lue and the Lakers are working on an agreement to make him the team's next head coach. It seems to be a pretty solid report considering Ty Lue celebrated his birthday with, as we saw earlier, a Lakers-themed cake. Nick, is this all but a done deal?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be announced yesterday. I said that yesterday, that by the time we're on the air today, I thought this would already be announced. It looks like they are still working out some language. Maybe Ty Lue trying to squeeze him for a few extra dollars. I don't think Ty's going to come cheaply, but yes, everything's done except for the pen to paper. He's going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. It shouldn't have taken this long, but I guess it's going to take just a little bit longer.
Great birthday celebration. Little cake, Jenna. I mean, signing with the Lakers, getting that new money. Ty Lue celebrating. Now he's with his guy, LeBron James. Don't worry, though, Ty. You got help coming along the way. Free agency, get Ty signed, then free agency. I was hoping for a basketball operations guy, but Ty Lue is one of the key pieces to the Lakers getting back to the playoffs. Good signing by them. Was he their first choice, Nick?
It doesn't appear he was their first choice. It looks like Monty Williams turned him down to go with the Suns, which should be maybe a stark reality.
I told you Monty was smart.
Man,
I told you.
Should be a stark reality for the Buss family, but I think they got the right guy, even if he wasn't the first choice. Similar to the Frank Reich situation in Indy.
Okay.
Finally, big off Off season for the Cowboys. Sure, they're trying to improve on the 10 wins they had last season, but also sure, they got a lot of people to pay this offseason, and at the top of that list seems to be quarterback Dak Prescott. Jerry Jones reiterated the team's future commitment to Dak.
We're sold on Dak, and we do want to have him for the long term. We think he's worthy of investing in for the long term. He's going into his 4th year now in the NFL. We see real upside in Dak. You don't have it all yet.
You're going into year 4. You don't have it all yet. We're talking about potential and upside. You wonder how much upside Dak Prescott has, and if, like Jerry Jones, he should be the main guy you're talking about paying this offseason.
Well, Jenna, this is the hard thing now, because we are in the golden age in the NBA of shooters and the golden age of quarterbacks in the NFL. Which ownership and which coaching staff is going to have enough patience to realize that you're going to get a lot of kids that aren't going to come out and have the impact that Baker Mayfield? And they can still be franchise quarterbacks and develop, especially between year 3 and year 5. I always say there is no greater year of development than between year 1 and year 2. But as a quarterback, there's so many aspects to the game that we have begun to appreciate that these young quarterbacks, they're not going to get until they have seasons under the belt, until they have some playoff losses under their belt, until they go into cold weather environment, noisy environments, and are able to do that year after year after year. But we have some guys that are such instant success in throwing the football that we think everyone should be like that. Jared Goff, he gets Sean McVay. His career is off and running. But this is a process. Dallas has analyzed Dak for the first 3 years and realized for us to get another quarterback, we might get that process wrong. We have to go back into the draft, because you know you can't get one in free agency, you can't get one for cheap. We have to go back into the draft, and we're going to draft one in the first round? Well, we can't do that. That's a top pick. Or in the second round? Or do I try to do the Dak Prescott again and develop another quarterback? So I'm with Jerry. They do have their quarterback of the future, but it should come with a certain price. And I do believe, and we have to just still have a great deal of patience, even though we're in this great era of throwing quarterbacks. It takes time to be able to get it right. And Dak, now he's not going to be as good as he's going to be in 3 or 4 years. And I know it's hard for fans to be able to look at it that way, because we have so many guys that can throw the ball and throw it well, especially in the NFC, Nick.
And I'm going to approach this from a slightly different angle than I have when we've had this discussion before, because it's pretty much, I'm on the record that I wouldn't pay Dak yet. I would wait to see him do it another year. I would hold the franchise tag over his head. But the Cowboys are clearly not going to listen to me.
Yeah, you can't fight City.
Right. They're going to pay Dak. So here is, if you're a Cowboys fan, the argument for why this is a good decision. It's not just what Chris said, which is if you don't pay Dak, you got to go find somebody. And if I'm not mistaken, the last premium pick the Cowboys spent on a quarterback was Troy Aikman. I can't think of one in the last 30 years that we would consider a premium pick, because they had Drew Bledsoe there, they had Quincy Carter, they had Tony Romo,
they took Steve Walsh in the supplemental draft and ultimately ended up trading him.
Right, the same year as Troy Aikman, yes. Right? So we're talking over 30 years ago was the last time they used a premium pick or picks on a quarterback, right? So when we were talking about these NBA playoff series, you said something interesting. You said, let's not overreact to game 1 or overreact to game 2. If you flipped the order, what would the reaction be? What would the feeling be? If we had these same 3 years from Dak Prescott, but year 2 was year 1, last year was year 2, and that extraordinary year 1 was the one we just saw.
Well, of course.
The 13-3 season.
Then it would be a different.
Then it would be a no-brainer.
As Nick would say, it would make sense.
It would make sense. It would be a no-brainer. The point that I'm making is, yes, it'd be a different arc, but all those games were played. All that he has, that we have seen him do it.
CC says it all the time. No one had games on. No one had games to really look at. Defenses weren't fully prepared for
Which
him.
is why I think this would be an apocalyptically bad decision if what we didn't have in the most recent, when people had the most film, were those last 8 games. Those last 8 games where he looked the most like his rookie year he had looked, where he did win a playoff game, where after not being able to throw for 230 yards at any point during the year, he was regularly around 270, where we saw him with Amari Cooper. Again, Do I think Dak's going to be above that Matt Ryan line, that make-believe line that I say is the threshold to pay a quarterback? I'm skeptical of it. Do I think because the older quarterbacks aren't retiring and the younger quarterbacks are getting good faster, it's hard to be a top 10 quarterback, top 12 quarterback. It's hard to be a top half of the league quarterback. I think all those things are true. But the Cowboys, because they don't trust, I think, their ability to restart the process, and they think they can win right now, they're going to buy into Dak because you're not, much like you're not going to have your coach going with a lame duck year. They don't want to have their quarterback going with a lame duck year, and they're just going to bet that they're going to be right on him. It's just a big bet and a big gamble for them.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. Let's move back to the NBA now. The Golden State Warriors, they're on their quest to winning their 4th title.